Xenoblade Chronicles 3 blew me away. I don't throw around the term masterpiece particularly frequently, and so I hope my excitement and eagerness to talk about this game comes across when I use the term. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a masterpiece of a game. It is by no means flawless, but it is one of those rare games whose peaks are so high that even when it stumbles, it's easy to brush off as you look forward to the next emotional high. Xenoblade 3 is the culmination of a lot of trends from the previous 3 Xenoblade games perfected into an entertaining, gripping, and rewarding game and tale. My expectations were high throughout the whole build-up to the game, and this game matched it with ease. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a semi-open world JRPG developed by Monolith Soft and published by Nintendo. While it is the 4th game in the Xenoblade overall series, the 3 is clearly chosen because it shares much more in common with the original Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, as opposed to Xenoblade Chronicles X. The game was announced in a direct in February of 2022 with a release window set for September. However, the gaming public was in for a surprise when the game was later bumped up to release on July 29, 2022 exclusively for the Nintendo Switch. The surprise was the release date, not the Switch part. This change did have some people concerned that the game would be rushed, and Nintendo's handling of the collector's edition didn't help things, but ultimately it appears Xenoblade Chronicles 3 did not suffer for the decision to move it up in the schedule. The game was well loved by critics, with many praising the updated battle system and the impressive visuals, especially for the Switch. It is clear Xenoblade 3 also found a great audience, with players topping charts all over the world upon release and outdoing both previous Xenoblade Switch releases. No full sales figures have been released as of yet, but given this initial success, I feel confident in my prediction that Xenoblade 3 will easily top 2 million sales. One of the reasons I think Xenoblade 3 so easily captured fans of previous games, and new ones too, is due to its premise. The world of Ionios is in perpetual conflict. Each person born into the world has 10 years to live. Those years are spent training for and then fighting in the constant war. The two nations of Kevis and Agnes fight each other. With each enemy they kill, the victorious group takes life back for their colony's flame clock, allowing its residents to persist in life. Most people do not make it to the end of those 10 years, they're called terms in universe, but those that do are honored before their nation's queen with a homecoming ceremony allowing them to return to the queen. Our protagonists are 6 soldiers, 3 from Kevis, Noah, who's the main character, Lance, and Uni, and 3 from Agnes, Mio, Senna, and Tyon. One mission brings these 2 trios into conflict and changes their lives. They meet a man who has lived beyond 10 terms, fight a strange creature called Mobius, and become Oroboros. Becoming Oroboros allows them to interlink into a giant, powerful form, but also makes them a target of both Kevis and Agnes, and they must team up to make their way for a refuge called the city the man told them about. On their way, they discover more about the world and decide how they want to change it. The premise is suitably dramatic, playing up an unforgiving world with little choice and hope in the people. The impact this whole system has over the entire rest of the game is vast, and seen strongly in our main cast of characters, both with their interactions with each other and in the people they meet along the way. I've always found that the Xenoblade series does a really good job of balancing the wider existential threats the party must face with the deeper, more intimate personal reasons our group has for confronting those threats. Xenoblade 3 manages to do this at every turn, leading to a rich, detailed world filled with characters that are well realized for such a world. Every single character in the party has many shining moments over the course of the game, although I do think Senna could have used some more, and their chemistry is amazing. Their relationships and connections are really strong and set up the most emotionally powerful moments of the game. It is always an impressive achievement when the entire main party is not only likable, but develops well across the whole game. The foundation for the game is really good to help spark interest, but that interest would not have been maintained if Xenoblade's writers couldn't execute. Needless to say, they executed masterfully, building a story brimming with charm, consideration, and character. One of the bigger changes to the Xenoblade formula comes with combat. Here's what's unchanged, however. Each character has arts that can be performed and have a cooldown until they can be used again. In between these arts, you will do auto attacks to do damage. Positioning, depending on the art used, can improve damage and/or inflict an effect such as break, topple, daze, launch, etc. Unlike previous entries though, every member of your party fights at once, so you have all 6 characters fighting and you can switch between them at any point during the fight. This change was one of my favorites to the system. The battles are a little more chaotic, but it's undeniably cool to have everyone fighting together, and while the AI still does some silly things with your teammates, being able to switch to them in battle can help mitigate the damage. To facilitate the balance of the party, each character has their own special class, falling into one of 3 categories. Attackers, who deal the most damage, defenders, who draw enemy attention and either block or dodge attacks, and healers, who heal and buff the party as well as revive allies. I had a good time playing no matter what role I played as because they are all essential for proper party performance. Although I played healer for a lot of the tougher battles because of the occasional poor AI performance in that role in critical situations. As you fight, you can also build up to a chain attack, and these chain attacks are super powerful. You can turn a battle on its head with a really successful series. It is always satisfying seeing the numbers go up and your enemy's health get melted away. Now, pacing wise, they can get a little slow and repetitive, especially towards the end, but it's still a lot of fun and the animations are excellent. For me at least, this version of Xenoblade combat is the most enjoyable I've experienced. It is a little more simplistic and straightforward than previous games, but that doesn't mean it is easy or limits the fun. The challenge certainly remains, definitely for the bosses and the unique monsters that you can go around fighting. 2 other major additions shake up the combat even more than the changes I've already described, those being the heroes and the Oroboros. As you explore around through both the main story and side content, you can find other characters sympathetic to the cause. If you do something for them and complete their hero's quest, you can bring them into the party as a 7th member in battle. You can't directly control them, but it's another character in battle that can help with various tactics. I tended to use them to compensate for whatever I thought my party was lacking, although that invariably ended up being healers. The Oroboros, similarly to the chain attacks, when used well, can turn a battle around for you. As you are battling regularly, you can build up levels on your Oroboros meter up until level 3. At any point though, in that build-up, you can bring your characters together and interlink into the Oroboros form. You gain a whole new slew of powerful arts to use and cannot be killed during this time. The only thing you need to watch out for is the heat, because you overheat as you use abilities, and once you've hit a certain point, you have to end the interlink. Both the heroes and the Oroboros also give more options for chain attacks, with powerful Oroboros abilities and heroes having their own unique bonuses to exploit during that time. I think the combat system's rhythmic nature makes it really easy to get into and satisfying to take down enemies, but I do also understand the criticism of the repetitiveness of combat. What I think helps with varying combat up, actually, comes in team management and progression. As I mentioned before, every member of your team has a class that falls into a particular category, but within that category there are a lot of unique classes. There are the 6 that your team starts out with, and also a number of classes you get from recruiting heroes. I think there were very few classes among all the ones you can choose that weren't a lot of fun to play as. Some are particularly nice, but I wouldn't describe any of them as bad, and it really allows you to mix and match a creative team along with balancing it out with whatever 7th hero you decide to fight alongside. Each class can be leveled up to a max level of 10 initially, and then 20 later on when you do that hero's ascension quest. You get skills and arts from these classes that you can use to build up your characters as well. The arts will then be used even in a different class as part of fusion attacks done in battle. A lot of the management aspects bleed over into noticeable differences in battle, which is why I think it helps with the enjoyment of the game overall. Given all the menu time, it could get frustrating changing accessories, skills, gems, and arts to fit your new build, except the game does it for you to begin with, and then you can adjust it if you're unsatisfied with what the game did for you. This method saves a lot of time for those who are more set it and forget it, but still allows those with particular builds in mind to go in and fiddle to their heart's content. For more traditional progression, there is one skill tree to manage, or more accurately, the soul tree for your Oroboros. Some of the tree covers stat boosts, while others slow down overheating, and still more give more options for arts to use. While there can be a lot to get through when it comes to management and progression, the rewards for doing so in battle are tangible and make the time spent rewarding. One of the hallmarks of the Xenoblade Chronicles series, though, is its exploration gameplay, and that's certainly the case in Xenoblade 3 as well. There are several sizable regions in the game, ranging in environments within the region and not just having a singular biome. Within each map, there are many things to explore and discover, items to collect to use to complete Collectopedia cards for colony residents, ether channels to collect, husks to send off with Noah and or Mio's Offseer powers, gold bases to take over and power back up, secret areas and side quests. It is very, very easy to get sidetracked in the game while exploring around, and the game definitely encourages doing so, as a lot of the time when I did get sidetracked, I got rewarded with rare items, beautiful scenery, new colonies with smashed flame clocks, or even some puzzle levels. Traveling around is also easier with the landmarks you can fast travel between, and also you can now travel between the grave sites of the unique monsters you kill, so that adds another motivation to actually fight these tough battles. There are also some specific traversal skills you'll need to unlock to reach certain areas in-game, which means you'll need to return to some of the previously visited areas to try and collect everything. How Long to Beat puts completionist runs at around 150 hours, and given everything this game has to offer just with exploring around, that seems appropriate to me, and I could see myself happily spending that time if I had it. The side content in general was a huge improvement from at least Xenoblade 1 for me. My favorite part was certainly recruiting new heroes because they had great variety and personality, brought further depth to the world building, and gave me more options in battle. Plus, more friendly colonies means more options for equipment, quests, and rewards from colony affinity increases. On top of that, the regular side quests tend to be more focused and less fetch quest oriented than previous games. Not that there aren't unfocused fetch quests as well, just fewer of them. If it were not for the fact that my gaming schedule is always full, I could have very happily gone through and tried to complete many more things, such as increasing affinity with colonies and doing all the hero ascension quests. Even with the time crunch, I certainly wasn't just speeding through the story with my 80-hour-long playthrough, and I am actually looking forward to getting to play more as part of gathering footage for this video. Xenoblade 3 sunk its claws into me with a gripping main story and fun side content as well. Lord knows what will happen when the story DLC comes out. When it comes to presentation, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 excels in the areas you'd expect and has shown marked improvement in others that faltered in previous entries. Starting with exactly what you'd expect, the art. I think there is no part of the art that I don't love. The landscapes and environments are spectacular and run surprisingly well on Switch. The character outfits and designs are memorable and work so well in the various outfits you can put them in for the various classes. There's a reason the fan artists are having a field day with all of the characters, and I am here for it. The animation is amazing, and this comes into focus especially in the cutscenes, which are incredible cinematic pieces with excellent direction, action, and character in each one. Having the ability to rewatch all the cutscenes from the menu from the beginning is also a great feature that I wish more games did. I did express my concerns in my Why I'm Excited For video about the user experience in battle with a busy looking battle screen. It was certainly manageable and the really crucial information was prominently placed and visible, but there were times where battles were too chaotic on screen for me to follow exactly what was going on. I guess this was a necessary sacrifice given the console the game was on, but maybe there were some more solutions that could have been brought if the game had more development time. The UI in general, though, was very good, and the tutorials were, if anything, too frequent, which I will say is better than too few, like in the previous numbered entry. Musically, the composers once again did a really good job with the game. I think for me it does fall short of Xenoblade 1's soundtrack, but certain pieces are amazing and the soundtrack as a whole is solid, and Xenoblade 1's soundtrack is a high bar to clear. They also coordinated well with the cutscenes to produce some powerful emotional moments on all fronts. This continues into the voice acting, which is leagues better than Xenoblade 2. This isn't just not a bad dub, this is a great one with an amazing cast and proper voice direction this time. Xenoblade 3 is the result of a team that knows to keep doing what they've been doing in the areas that worked in the past and adjust in the areas they fell short before. The result is a fantastic game to watch, listen to, and play. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the complete package, a game with fantastic gameplay, great synergy between management and active gameplay, a strong story and world building, fun characters, and fantastic visuals and music. If you are an RPG fan, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a lot to offer you. and there is a reason it keeps getting fantastic praise. It's going to be hard for a game to top Xenoblade 3 this year, and I'm even more excited for what Monolith Soft decides to do next with the Xeno series. Let me know if you've played or are planning to play Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in the comments, and as you head down there, the best way to sustain the flame clock of the channel from the YouTube algorithm is by giving the video a like and sharing it around. Thank you to all my subscribers, and for those of you who are not subscribed, feel free to join us to find out about my videos when I post them. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and happy gaming.